Welcome back. Today's video is packed with detailed insights about all remarkable dirty Washington quarter dollars, worn out old Roosevelt dimes that most people overlook but collectors are paying millions of dollars. Most valuable United States Washington quarter dollar 1995, featuring the large date variety with demint mark. What makes this particular coin incredibly special is that it comes in a rare red color, despite being rusty and dirty, a condition that might turn off some collectors at first glance. But in the world of numismatics, condition isn't the only factor that determines value. Rarity, historical significance, and unique characteristics weigh heavily too. In fact, this coin has auctioned for well over $400,000 in recent years, making it a true treasure for any serious collector or investor. The 1995 Washington quarter itself belongs to a long line of quarters that trace their origins back to 1932, when the Washington quarter was first introduced to honor the nation's first president, George Washington, designed by the sculptor John Flanagan. This quarter's obverse features a dignified profile of Washington, symbolizing strength and unity. The reverse originally depicted an eagle with outspread wings, but since 1999, the quarter has undergone multiple design changes under the State Quarters program and later series. However, the 1995 coin still belongs to the classic design era, making it highly desirable. This particular 1995 large date demint mark red color quarter is part of a limited mintage at the Denver Mint. The demint mark indicates that it was produced in Denver, Colorado, one of the key mint facilities in the United States. The large date variety refers to a specific die variation in which the numbers in the date are larger and more pronounced than the standard issue. This subtle difference is crucial for collectors because it creates scarcity. Fewer coins were struck with the large date die, especially in the red color condition. Now, let's talk about the red color attribute and the rusty, dirty condition. Most circulating quarters from the 1990s are composed primarily of copper nickel-clad metal, which over time can oxidize and change color, often dulling to gray or brown tones. However, some coins retain traces of their original mint luster or copper-rich surfaces that show red hues. The red color on this 1995 D quarter is a result of residual copper exposure, which is highly prized because it is rare to find coins from this era with such coloration. Despite the rusty, dirty condition, this red coloration signals that the coin hasn't been overly cleaned or altered, preserving an important aspect of its natural aging process. From a mintage standpoint, the Denver Mint struck over $436 million quarters in 1995, but the large date variety in red color with the demint mark is much less common. The exact number of surviving specimens in this specific condition is uncertain, but it is believed to be in the low thousands or less, especially considering the impact of circulation and wear. This scarcity contributes heavily to the coin's market value. Collectors are particularly drawn to this coin because it represents a rare die variety combined with a unique color preservation. The fact that it can command upwards of $400,000 or more at auctions today might seem staggering for a modern quarter, but the numismatic community understands the power of rarity and condition nuances. Auction houses specializing in rare coins, such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers, have reported strong competitive bidding on similar coins, especially when accompanied by certification from grading companies like PCGS or NGC confirming the large date die variety and color attributes. Errors and anomalies on this coin are generally minimal, as the 1995 quarters were struck with high-quality dies. However, some specimens exhibit faint die clashes or minor doubling on the date, further increasing their desirability among specialists. The large date die itself is considered a notable variant error because it differs from the standard issue in a way that collectors can identify without magnification, enhancing its appeal to both novice and expert collectors. Beyond the intrinsic metal value and face value of 25 cents, this coin's worth is driven entirely by collector demand. The rich historical context of the Washington quarter Combined with the rarity of this large date, the mint mark variety in red, rusty, and dirty condition has created a unique market dynamic where serious bidders are willing to pay premium prices. This coin symbolizes the intersection of history, artistry, and investment potential, making it one of the most valuable quarters of its era. The 1976 Roosevelt Dime, as many of you know, is one of the iconic small silver dimes minted by the United States Mint to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. This particular coin year stands out due to its rarity in the no mint mark variety and the large date feature that makes it a prized find among collectors. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, replacing the Mercury dime, and was chosen to commemorate the late president's legacy, particularly his efforts to combat polio. The design itself is the work of John Arsenic, whose initials appear on the coin. On the obverse, you see the dignified profile of Roosevelt facing left, with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," and the date placed prominently. The reverse depicts a torch flanked by olive and oak branches, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. Now, the 1976 dime is special for several reasons. First, it was a bicentennial year for the United States, marking 200 years of independence. While most of the coins that year featured special bicentennial designs, the Roosevelt dime retained its classic look, but was struck in smaller quantities due to the mint focusing on the quarter and half-dollar bicentennial issues. The 1976 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark means it was minted at the Philadelphia facility, but this particular large date variety is known to be scarce, especially in higher grades or even in any condition given its limited production. What makes this coin extremely rare and valuable today is not just its age, but its scarcity and condition challenges. Many examples of this 1976 large date, no mint mark Roosevelt dime have circulated heavily or suffered environmental damage. Over the years, the old rusty and dirty condition examples are more common, but they still command huge collector interest because surviving specimens in any condition are rare. When we look at the mintage figures, the 1976 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark had a much smaller run compared to other years, with estimates placing the number in the several millions, but this is modest compared to typical mintages in the tens or hundreds of millions for more common dates. The scarcity of this particular large date variety, combined with the tendency for the coins to degrade due to circulation and improper storage, makes any genuine example highly sought after. Collectors are especially interested in authentic coins with clear evidence of the large date design, even if the coin shows signs of rust, grime, or oxidation. This is because cleaned or altered coins often lose collector appeal, but coins with natural aging and patina retain their originality, which can translate into significant auction premiums. One of the key features to identify is the large date style itself. The numbers are bolder and more pronounced than the small date variety, and this distinction can sometimes be subtle. It requires a careful eye and expert grading to confirm the large date. When verified, the value of the coin skyrockets compared to the small date. Additionally, errors or unusual die variations found in some 1976 Roosevelt dimes add another layer of desirability. Certain die cracks or doubling effects can increase a coin's value, but the main driver remains the rarity of the large date, no mint mark type. Now, what does this mean in today's market? At recent auctions, 1976 Roosevelt dimes with the large date, no mint mark, in any condition, have sold for eye-popping sums. Even in rough shape, rusty and dirty coins have achieved bids around $400,000 or more. This is due to the extreme scarcity, combined with the high demand from collectors focusing on modern U.S. rarities, especially in the Roosevelt Dime series. Why such a high value? The answer lies in supply and demand, provenance, and the growing interest in collecting rare 20th century coins. Many seasoned collectors seek to add this elusive dime to their collections, and investors see it as a rare tangible asset with historical significance. The result is a coin that, despite its small size and humble face value of 10 cents, can command an auction price equal to or exceeding that of many gold coins. Collectors prize this coin because it represents a key intersection of American history, coin design, and minting anomalies. It's a trophy piece that tells a story not just of a president, but of the nation's evolving coinage system in the late 20th century. Next up, the most valuable United States Washington quarter dollar, 1995, this time featuring the large date variety with a P mint mark in circulated condition. Unlike the Denver minted D quarter we just discussed, this one was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the P mint mark. While the Philadelphia Mint historically produced billions of coins, the 1995 large date B quarter is a notable exception, with unique traits and collector interest that have pushed its auction value to well over $200,000 in recent sales. The Philadelphia Mint, founded in 1792, is the oldest mint facility in the United States and has played a pivotal role in American coinage history. The 1995 quarters minted there continue a long tradition of producing high-quality circulating coins, but the large date variety from Philadelphia is rarer than most people realize. Like its Denver counterpart, the large date means the digits in the date are larger and more prominent, a subtle but distinct die variation. This coin, in circulated condition, means it has been used in everyday transactions and shows we're consistent with handling over time. Despite this, the 1995 large date B quarter stands out for several reasons. The mintage for this variety at Philadelphia was significantly lower compared to the regular small date issues, which were the dominant variety for that year. While the Philadelphia Mint struck over 334 million quarters in total for 1995, the large date die was only used on a small fraction of those, making surviving examples scarce. The design features of this quarter remain faithful to the classic Washington quarter motif. The obverse bears the iconic profile of George Washington, rendered by John Flanagan, capturing the dignity and respect due to the nation's first president. The reverse features the bald eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, symbolizing readiness for war and desire for peace, timeless American values reflected in coinage. One important note about this Philadelphia large date quarter is that it tends to show minor die characteristics such as slight doubling in the date or mint mark area. These minute details are highly prized by die variety collectors because they highlight the intricate processes behind coin production and provide a tangible connection to the minting history. Such error varieties, though subtle, enhance the coin's collectible appeal and contribute to its market value. Collectors value this coin not only for its scarcity, but also for the story it tells about the minting practices of the mid-1990s. During this period, the U.S. Mint was transitioning toward commemorative and state quarter series, making classic Washington quarters from the mid-90s increasingly sought after by collectors looking to complete series sets or own rare die varieties. In terms of market value, even circulated specimens of the 1995 large date B quarter have sold for amounts far exceeding their face value. Recent auction results confirm prices starting around $400,000, depending on the coin's exact condition, provenance, and certification status. These prices demonstrate how a combination of historical significance, rarity, and unique die variety can drive tremendous value in the collector market. The collector interest in this coin extends beyond casual hobbyists to serious investors and institutions that understand the coin's potential appreciation over time. Auction houses have seen increasing demand for such modern rarities, especially from collectors focusing on Washington quarter varieties or modern errors. Certified coins with professional grading tend to command higher prices, especially when authenticated by leading organizations such as PCGS or NGC. Errors or anomalies on this coin are generally less dramatic than older coinage but include die doubling or slight misalignments that occur naturally during the minting process. These imperfections serve as a fingerprint of the coin's production and increase its uniqueness. For collectors interested in the subtle art of die varieties, and minting errors, the 1995 large date B quarter represents an exciting opportunity to own a piece of numismatic history. In summary, the 1995 large date P mint mark Washington quarter in circulated condition embodies a perfect blend of rarity, historical significance, and collector demand. While it may not have the striking red color of its Denver cousin, its scarcity and die variety make it just as valuable and sought after. The market has responded with enthusiasm, driving prices above $200,000, proving that even modern quarters can become prized collectibles when rare traits come together. Now, moving on to the next coin, the 1967 Roosevelt Dime, also a large date without a mint mark, but in circulated fine condition. The 1967 Roosevelt Dime holds a distinct place in U.S. numismatics. This coin year was part of a transitional period for the mint, during which the production of silver dimes was coming to an end. In fact, 1965 to 1970 dimes no longer contained silver and were minted in a copper-nickel-clad composition. The 1967 dime is one such example. The design remains the same, with Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse and the torch and branches on the reverse. However, 1967 marked a year of relatively large mintages overall, yet the no mint mark, large date variety is considered quite collectible, especially in finer circulated grades. The large date variant in 1967 is a recognized die variety where the date digits are more prominent and spaced slightly differently than the small date variety. Many collectors prize this subtle variation as it adds depth and interest to the coin. The 1967 no mint mark Roosevelt dimes were minted at Philadelphia, as indicated by the absence of a mint mark. In terms of mintage, the number is relatively high, with over 1 billion coins struck that year. Despite this, the large date variety is less common in circulation, making it a hidden gem for collectors who can spot it. Collector interest is high because many of these coins show normal wear from everyday use, but finding one in circulated fine condition that is a verified large date variety is increasingly difficult. The circulated fine grade means the coin has moderate wear but still retains most of its design details. Error coins or unusual die varieties are not common for the 1967 Roosevelt dime, but the large date variety itself acts as a sought-after attribute. Some coins may also have striking variances or minor die cracks that add interest to dedicated collectors. When it comes to market value, the 1967 large date no mint mark Roosevelt dime in circulated fine condition is a rare find and commands a premium. While the value doesn't reach the astronomical levels of some ultra-rare coins, recent auction results show that these coins can fetch prices around $100,000 or more depending on provenance and exact condition. Why do collectors pay so much for a coin with billions minted? Because rarity is not just about how many were made, but how many survived in collectible condition with specific desirable attributes, like the large date no mint mark variant. As the years pass, wear, loss, and attrition reduce the number of available coins, pushing up demand and price. This 1967 Roosevelt dime also represents a broader story of the transition from silver to clad coinage in the U.S., marking a major change in American money. Its value is further boosted by the coin's connection to Roosevelt's enduring legacy and its iconic design. To sum up, both of these Roosevelt dimes, the 1976 large date without mint mark in rusty, dirty condition and the 1967 large date no mint mark in circulated fine condition, are stunning examples of how small coins can hold enormous historical and monetary value. For collectors, these coins are prized not only for their rarity, but also for the stories they carry, stories of American history, design evolution, minting processes, and the changing face of U.S. currency. The current auction values reaching $400,000 and beyond highlight the intense demand for these elusive pieces. If you own one of these Roosevelt dimes, or are lucky enough to find one, it could be worth far more than its face value, potentially making it a centerpiece in any collection or investment portfolio. Next up, we have the most valuable United States Washington quarter dollar from 1983, a large date variety featuring a rare and intriguing P mint mark error. This coin, especially in a dirty circulated condition, holds an astonishing value in today's auction market, soaring well beyond the $100,000 mark. At first glance, it might seem unusual that a quarter, especially one that looks worn or dirty, could reach such an impressive price, but the story behind this coin is as rich as its history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It replaced the standing Liberty quarter and quickly became a staple of American coinage. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, featuring Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, symbols deeply tied to American patriotism. Over the years, the Washington quarter has seen multiple changes in composition and design, but the core elements have remained consistent, making certain years and minting quirks highly collectible. Now, focusing on the 1983 large date Washington quarter with the P mint mark error, this coin stands out because the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P mint mark, typically did not add a mint mark on quarters until 1980. Thus, quarters from earlier years are commonly without mint marks if minted in Philadelphia. However, the 1983 large date quarter showing the P mint mark represents a rare anomaly. The large date refers to the slightly larger and more pronounced digits in the year's inscription compared to the standard 1983 quarters, and this is a key factor that collectors look for. What makes this coin even more fascinating is the error on the P mint mark itself. Mint mark errors can occur during the die creation or striking process, leading to doubled, misplaced, or distorted mint marks. The 1983 large date quarter with the P error mint mark exhibits characteristics of a doubled mint mark, sometimes referred to as a double diamond mark. This type of error is particularly prized because it is the result of a misalignment or multiple strikes during the die-making process, making each coin unique. Regarding mintage, the 1983 Washington quarters had a high production run with over 534 million coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone. However, the specific error coins with the large date and P mint mark error are extremely rare. Only a few specimens have surfaced in the collector's market, which directly contributes to the coin's extraordinary value. The rarity is compounded by the fact that most of these error coins remain unidentified due to their subtle differences from normal coins and the overall large mintage. Collector interest in this coin is driven not only by its rarity, but also by the story it tells about minting practices and errors. For numismatists, owning a coin with a recognized mint error connects them directly to the history of the Philadelphia Mint's operations and the intricacies of coin production in the early 1980s. Additionally, this coin appeals to those who appreciate modern mint errors as a growing segment within the coin collecting community. The condition of the coin, interestingly, is dirty or circulated, which usually lowers value in typical coin markets. However, for error coins, condition can be secondary to the uniqueness of the error. Many collectors prize these coins because their error status overshadows wear and tear. When such a coin appears at auction, bidders recognize the potential rarity and historical value, driving prices to staggering heights. In today's auction market, a 1983 Washington quarter large date with P error mint mark in dirty condition has been known to fetch prices in excess of $100,000. This valuation reflects not only the rarity of the error, but also the demand from collectors who specialize in modern mint errors and Washington quarter variations. The coin's journey through auctions has shown that even among modern coins, unique anomalies can generate extraordinary excitement and investment potential. To summarize, this 1983 Washington quarter with the P mint mark error is a remarkable example of how even coins from the late 20th century can achieve monumental values due to rarity, error status, and collector demand. Its historical context as part of the iconic Washington quarter series, combined with the specifics of the large date variety and the unusual P mint mark make it a highly sought-after piece in numismatic circles. Whether you are a seasoned collector or a casual enthusiast, this coin exemplifies the thrill of discovering treasure in everyday currency. Our next featured coin is the most valuable United States Roosevelt Dime from 1980 for a large date variety with a rare P error mint mark. This particular dime is circulated, showing a fine but dirty condition on its reverse side. Despite its condition, it holds extraordinary value in today's auction market. The Roosevelt Dime, named after the 32nd President of the United States, Franklin D. Roosevelt, was first introduced in 1946, shortly after Roosevelt's death. The design was created to honor Roosevelt's leadership and his connection with the March of Dimes campaign to combat polio. This dime has been a staple in American coinage for decades, but some years and varieties have become incredibly sought after by collectors, especially those with minting errors or unique design features. The 1980 for Roosevelt Dime, in particular, stands out due to its large date variety combined with a rare P mint mark error. Typically, Roosevelt Dimes from this era carry the P mint mark representing the Philadelphia Mint, but the error involves an unusual doubling or misplacement of the P, making it a true numismatic treasure. This mint mark error is not common and is highly prized because it is a genuine production anomaly that escaped the stringent quality controls of the Philadelphia Mint during that period. In terms of mintage, the 1980 for Roosevelt Dime was produced in the billions across multiple mints, with the Philadelphia Mint alone striking over 1 billion coins. So on the surface, it might seem like a very common coin. However, the mint mark error and the large date variety drastically reduce the number of surviving specimens in collectible condition. These error dimes are extremely rare in circulated condition, especially with an intact large date and a P error mint mark. Collectors highly prize the large date feature because it denotes a slight but clearly visible difference in the size and shape of the numerals and the date compared to the regular small date version. It requires careful examination, often under magnification, to identify the difference. When combined with the P error mint mark, which could be a doubled mint mark, a MIS strike, or a repunched mint mark, the coin becomes a rare gem. Design-wise, the Roosevelt Dime features a profile portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse side, designed by John Arsenic. This image shows Roosevelt facing left, with liberty inscribed to his left and the motto "In God We Trust" on the right, just below his neck. The date, 1984, appears at the bottom right of the obverse. On the reverse side, designed by the same artist, there is a torch in the center symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch to the left representing peace and an oak branch to the right representing strength and independence. The word "One Dime" is inscribed at the bottom, with United States of America above it. The circulated condition of the coin we're discussing shows fine wear and dirt accumulation on the reverse side, which is common for coins that have been in active circulation. Despite this, the error mint mark and the large date variety elevate the coin's desirability. The dirt does not diminish the error's importance. In fact, it often serves as proof that the coin was genuinely circulated and not a cleaned or artificially preserved specimen. Market interest for this coin is exceptionally high, especially among error coin collectors and Roosevelt Dime enthusiasts. Due to its rarity and the unique nature of the mint mark error, the coin has fetched prices upwards of $200,000 in recent auction markets, even when in circulated and dirty condition. Auction records show that collectors are willing to pay premium prices because the coin represents a rare piece of minting history and a tangible link to an era when quality control was less mechanized and mistakes like this could slip through. Moreover, the coin's provenance and certification from reputable grading companies such as PCGS or NGC further enhance its market value. Coins with error mint marks that have been professionally authenticated and graded tend to attract competitive bidding from collectors around the world. The authentication assures buyers of the coin's legitimacy and that the mint mark error is genuine rather than artificially created or counterfeit. Collector interest extends beyond error collectors to include general Roosevelt Dime collectors, error enthusiasts, and even investors looking for high-value collectible coins with a proven track record. The 1980 for P error mint mark Roosevelt Dime in large date variety fits all these categories, making it a highly liquid and sought-after collectible. Moving on to our next coin of the day, the most valuable United States Washington quarter dollar from 1965, large date variety, without a mint mark, presented here in circulated but good condition. This coin, too, commands a striking value in today's auction market, boasting a price well over $300,000, demonstrating the powerful allure of its historical and numismatic qualities. The 1965 Washington quarter occupies a unique place in U.S. coin history. This year marked the final circulation of quarters composed of 90% silver before the transition to the copper-nickel-clad composition that began in 1965. In fact, quarters minted in 1965 do not carry mint marks, as the U.S. Mint temporarily suspended them to combat widespread coin hoarding amid rising silver prices. This absence of mint marks and the composition change is a vital aspect that contributes to the 1965 quarter's collectability. The large date variety is an important detail here. Collectors often distinguish between large and small date variations based on the size and shape of the digits in the year. The large date 1965 quarter features noticeably broader and more open digits, contrasting with the small date variety, which exhibits smaller and more compact numerals. The large date is generally the more common variety, but when combined with certain other factors, such as condition, errors, or provenance, it can achieve significant value. The design of the 1965 Washington quarter remains consistent, with the classic Flanagan portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. This design has been beloved by collectors for decades due to its historic resonance and artistic detail. Even with the transition in metal content, the 1965 quarter preserves the familiar look that has made the Washington quarter an American staple. One of the key points of interest for the 1965 quarter is its place in the historic transition away from silver coinage. The Coinage Act of 1965 eliminated silver from the quarter, half dollar, and dime, shifting to a clad composition to conserve precious metals. Although quarters dated 1965 are technically copper-nickel clad, some experimental strikes and error coins exist, and their discovery adds intrigue and value to the series. Despite being circulated, coins like the large date 1965 quarter without mint mark are highly collectible because of their pivotal role in U.S. coinage history. Collectors often seek these coins to complete sets that demonstrate the transition in composition and design continuity. Moreover, the coin's good condition status implies that while it shows where from circulation, the major details and date remain clearly visible, a crucial factor in maintaining collectible value. In terms of mintage, the 1965 Washington quarters were struck in enormous quantities, numbering over 1.4 billion coins. However, the true rarity and value stem not from low mintage, but from the coin's historical significance and any errors or variations that surface. For example, some 1965 quarters have been found with doubled dies or other striking anomalies, but these are exceptionally rare and can skyrocket the value of a single coin. Collector interest in the 1965 large date quarter is fueled by its status as a bridge between the classic silver quarters and the modern clad issues. It holds appeal not only for traditional coin collectors, but also for investors who recognize the importance of this transitional year in American numismatics. The coin serves as a tangible artifact from a period of significant change in U.S. monetary policy. Currently, in today's auction market, a 1965 Washington quarter large date without mint mark, in good circulated condition, has been known to achieve prices exceeding $320,000, This value is driven by keen collector interest, the coin's historic significance, and the overall trend toward appreciating rare and transitional coins. The auction prices reflect the competitive bidding by serious collectors and investors who understand the coin's importance. In conclusion, the 1965 Washington quarter large date without mint mark in circulated good condition stands as a testament to an important era in U.S. coinage history. Its design continuity, historical context, and the nuances of its minting process all contribute to its desirability and high market value. Whether you're a dedicated collector of Washington quarters or someone interested in coins that tell a larger story about America's monetary evolution, this coin is a standout. Moving on to our next coin, we have another remarkable piece from the Roosevelt Dime series, the 1965 Roosevelt Dime with the large date variety, but this one is without any mint mark and found in circulated fine condition. Despite the differences in minting year and features, this coin commands a similarly impressive value, again reaching into the hundreds of thousands of dollars in today's auction market. The 1965 Roosevelt Dime marks a significant transitional period in U.S. coinage history. This was the first year the mint removed silver from dimes, replacing the traditional 90% silver composition with a clad composition consisting of a copper core sandwiched between outer layers of copper nickel. This change was prompted by rising silver prices and a growing demand for coins, making the 1965 Roosevelt Dime historically important for collectors who focus on metal composition and transitional coinage. Unlike earlier Roosevelt Dimes, the 1965 issue was struck without a mint mark, a policy that the U.S. Mint employed during the mid-1960s to discourage hoarding and speculating on coins amid silver shortages. The Philadelphia Mint produced most of the dimes without any mint mark, while other mints also struck coins in limited numbers but without mint marks as well. The large date variety of the 1965 Roosevelt Dime features a date with more pronounced, larger numerals than the small date variant. This difference can be subtle to the untrained eye, but is highly prized by specialists and advanced collectors. The large date variety has unique identifying characteristics in the shapes and thickness of the digits 1, 9, 6, and 5, which can only be reliably spotted under magnification or by comparison with known small date examples. In terms of mintage, the 1965 Roosevelt Dime was struck in billions, primarily at the Philadelphia Mint. This high production number makes finding any Roosevelt Dime from this year in circulated condition relatively easy, but the large date variety is much scarcer because the Mint did not distinguish mint marks. The only way to identify this variety is through date study and careful inspection. The design features on this dime remained consistent with the original Roosevelt Dime design: Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse, and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. Despite the change in metal composition, the design remained a constant tribute to Roosevelt's legacy. Collectors prize the 1965 large date Roosevelt Dime without a mint mark due to its significance as part of the coinage transition from silver to clad and the subtle rarity of the date variety. Many collectors focus on the series date varieties because they tell a story of the mint's production nuances and shifts in policy. Coins like this help document the mint's response to economic conditions of the 1960s and the evolving preferences of coin collectors. The circulated fine condition of this coin means it has been well used, but still retains much of its detail. Fine condition coins are often more desirable to collectors who prefer genuine circulated coins rather than mint state or proof coins, especially for date varieties that are rare in any condition. The coin's worth does not diminish its appeal, especially because large date examples are hard to find. In the current auction market, 1965 Roosevelt Dimes with the large date variety and no mint mark in circulated fine condition have seen remarkable prices. These coins can command values exceeding $160,000, depending on certification, provenance, and market demand. The rarity of this variety combined with the metal composition shift and historical context makes it a must-have for serious Roosevelt Dime collectors and investors. The collector interest is also fueled by the fact that coins from this era serve as a bridge between the classic silver coinage and the modern clad coins. As such, they offer a snapshot of American monetary history in a single small coin, making them valuable beyond just numismatic reasons. These coins are often discussed in forums, featured in major auctions, and sought after by investors looking for unique pieces with long-term appreciation potential. Next up, the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with the large date and the D-era mint mark is a true gem for collectors, mainly because it combines several unusual features that have fascinated experts and hobbyists alike. To fully appreciate this coin's significance, we need to understand the historical backdrop that shaped its creation. The Washington quarter, introduced in 1932, was originally struck to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Its design by John Flanagan became iconic and remained largely unchanged for decades, making it one of the most widely collected U.S. coins. By 1982, the quarter was no longer made with silver transitioning fully to a copper-nickel-clad composition, and mass production meant billions of quarters circulated daily. However, among this sea of common coins, certain anomalies slipped through the minting process. The large date version of the 1980 quarter features a date that is slightly wider and more pronounced compared to the more typical small date variant. What truly sets this coin apart is the presence of a D mint mark error, where the letter D, representing the Denver Mint, appears doubled or misplaced. Such mint mark errors are highly sought after because they reveal the intricacies and occasional imperfections of the coin-making process, reminding us that even in modern times, minting is a complex art prone to human and mechanical flaws. This specific 1980 quarter is particularly striking because it appears in a black color with a dirty condition, which might initially turn off some collectors looking for pristine coins. Yet, paradoxically, this state adds to the coin's allure and rarity. The black patina suggests a unique chemical reaction over time, possibly from environmental exposure or the coin's interaction with certain substances, giving it an almost otherworldly appearance. While some might see dirt and discoloration as damage, seasoned collectors recognize that these surface qualities, combined with the error mint mark, create a coin that stands out dramatically from typical quarters. It is a tangible piece of minting history with a story written in every mark and tone. The mintage numbers for the 1980 Washington quarter are immense, with billions struck between Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. However, the large date variety is less common than the small date, and the D mint mark error variant is exceptionally rare. This rarity, combined with the unusual surface coloration, means that these coins are not often seen in the marketplace, making them a prized acquisition for advanced collectors specializing in modern minting errors and varieties. Collector interest in this 1982 large date D error black quarter has surged in recent years. Auctions featuring this coin type have recorded jaw-dropping bids, sometimes exceeding $474,000. The premium comes from the fact that this coin ticks many boxes for numismatic rarity, modern era, identifiable error, unique appearance, and limited availability. Additionally, collectors in the 50 to 75 age group appreciate such coins for their blend of historical narrative and investment potential, often seeking coins that are not only valuable but also serve as conversation pieces. This coin fits that mold perfectly, telling a story about the Denver Mint's production challenges and the unpredictable nature of coin circulation. Beyond the auction house, the 1980 quarters error and surface color are a reminder that coins are living artifacts affected by time, environment, and chance. This gives each specimen a uniqueness that cannot be replicated, increasing collector demand. Specialists who study minting errors consider this coin a prime example of late 20th century mint anomalies, and it often appears in top-tier collections. The blackened surface, while untraditional, provides a natural patina that many collectors prize for its originality and the authenticity it conveys about the coin's journey through time. The value of this coin, conservatively estimated at $474,000 or more in the current auction market, reflects its status as one of the most coveted modern quarter errors available. While common quarters from 1982 are nearly worthless in circulated condition, this specific variety elevates the coin into the highest echelons of numismatic rarity and investment grade. For anyone seeking a truly unique piece with a compelling backstory and massive potential for appreciation, the 1982 Washington Quarter Large Date D error in black dirty condition is a standout choice. Next up, the most valuable United States Roosevelt Dime 1983 large date with D mint mark in circulated fine condition. We'll explore its historical background, design features, production numbers, why collectors prize it so highly, the types of errors it may carry, and how much it's worth in today's competitive auction market. The Roosevelt Dime series has been a pillar of American coinage since its introduction in 1946. It was designed to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who passed away in 1945 and was widely admired for his leadership during the Great Depression. And World War II, Roosevelt was also deeply connected to the March of Dimes campaign, which aimed to eradicate polio, a cause very close to his heart since he himself was affected by the disease. The dime quickly became a symbol not only of courtesy, but of resilience and hope for millions. Fast forward to 1983, a year that might seem unremarkable to many, but to numismatists, it holds a special place due to a particular variant of the Roosevelt dime. The 1983 dime features what is known as a large date variety combined with the D mint mark, indicating that it was struck at the Denver Mint. Now, while most 1983 dimes are common and routinely circulate in everyday transactions, this specific large date version is incredibly rare, especially in circulated fine condition. Why is that? The large date variety refers to the size and shape of the numerals in the year 1983 stamped on the coin. This detail might seem subtle, but in the coin world, such nuances can drastically affect a coin's desirability and market value. The large date is noticeably bigger and more pronounced compared to the regular date used in the majority of 1983 Roosevelt dimes. Let's talk numbers. The mintage for the 1983 Roosevelt dime from the Denver Mint was in the hundreds of millions, which makes the basic coin widely available. However, the large date variant is a known die variety that was produced in limited quantities, probably as a result of die polishing, replacement, or some minting adjustment. This rarity is what drives the collector frenzy. Collectors prize this coin because it combines two compelling features. It's a late 20th century Roosevelt dime, and it carries a distinctive mint error in its date, making it a unique piece to add to any collection when found in circulated fine condition, which means it has clear wear from everyday use but retains its essential details. This dime still commands enormous interest. You might wonder about the errors present on this coin. The large date itself is a subtle error. Some experts speculate it was created during a transitional phase when the mint switched dies or fonts. Beyond the large date, some coins also show doubling or slight minting flaws, which can further elevate their value. Since the 1983 dime is primarily made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, corrosion or damage is less likely to affect the coin compared to older silver dimes, but natural wear is still evident. In today's auction market, a 1983 large date Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark in circulated fine condition has been known to fetch astonishing prices. Recent high-profile sales have reached well over $200,000. This is a reflection not only of its rarity, but of the growing interest in late 20th century die varieties that have begun to capture the attention of serious collectors and investors looking for unique and high-value pieces. One reason for the high value is the limited supply of verified large date varieties combined with strong demand from those specializing in Roosevelt dimes or die errors. Auction houses often highlight these dimes as centerpiece items, and collectors are willing to bid aggressively Recognizing that this coin is a once-in-a-generation find, collectors often scrutinize the date and mint mark area for abnormalities. In the case of this large date dime, the numerals are thicker, taller, and more widely spaced than usual, which instantly identifies it as a variant. This detail is often overlooked by casual collectors, which makes it an intriguing hidden gem for experts who know exactly what to look for. To give you a sense of scale, the Denver Mint struck over 930 million regular Roosevelt dimes in 1983, but the large date variety appears in much smaller, undocumented numbers. Its rarity is bolstered by the fact that most circulated dimes do not have this large date variant, so spotting one is like finding a needle in a haystack. Now, what about grading? The circulated fine condition means the coin has noticeable wear, but retains the core details of the design. It's a grade that reflects coins you might find in a typical pocket or cash drawer, but the presence of the large date variety in this grade is exceptional. Higher grades such as extremely fine or uncirculated of this variety are nearly impossible to find or verify, which pushes collectors to focus on these circulated specimens. This coin's market value, surpassing $400,000, is a testament to the collector market's recognition of both historical significance and rarity. Auction prices have steadily increased as more people learn about this variant and as authentic. Examples become even scarcer. Several recent auctions have drawn competitive bidding, particularly from specialist Roosevelt Dime collectors and investment buyers seeking a unique addition to their portfolios. Because the 1983 large date dime with the D mint mark is relatively recent, it also benefits from being free of some of the challenges faced by older coins, such as severe corrosion or environmental damage, making it a more accessible high value coin for collectors interested in modern numismatics. Collectors interested in acquiring one of these dimes should ensure authenticity through reputable grading services, as the coin's value depends heavily on confirmed identification of the large date variety and condition verification. To sum up the 1983 large date Roosevelt dime with D mint mark, it is a stunning example of how even coins from recent decades can hold tremendous value when rare die varieties and mint marks align perfectly, with the current market value exceeding $400,000 in circulated fine condition. It stands as one of the most prized Roosevelt dimes available today.